Assalamualaikum and hi, we are from Group 2. Today, we will present about Environmental Management Accounting, EMA, and Climate Change. This is our group members. We will start our presentation with Farah Shuhada.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Hoping everyone have a nice day today. And I will start the presentation by explaining what is the Environmental Management Accounting. As we know, EMA support managers to make better decisions by informing them about environmental aspects of organization beyond its boundaries and also about environmental issues that influence the organization. EMA also can help in identifying environmental problem caused, environmental improvement made and how they relate to the economic performance of the organization. According to IFAC statement Management Accounting Concepts, EMA is the management of environmental and economic performance via management accounting systems and practices that focus on both physical information, on the flow of energy, water, waste and materials, as well as the monetary information on related costs, savings and earnings. IFAC also has issued new guidance on environmental management accounting where EMA now is broadly defined to be the identification, collection, analysis and use of two types of information for internal decision making. The two types of information is physical information, which referred to the use, flows and rates of energy, water and materials including waste, and it focused more on supplying information to the management. And the second one is monetary information, which is the information related on environmental costs, earnings and savings. Although this guidance is aimed primarily at professional accountants within the organization, it also will be the interest to the other professional accountants and auditors who are becoming more involved in tracking or verifying environment-related information in financial and other reports. I will explain what is the differences between weather and climate. Weather is referred to the atmospheric condition which changes daily in a particular place within a short period. Weather can change from minute to minute, hour to hour or daily. Usually mostly affected by the temperature, air pressure and moisture differences between places. For example, rainy days, winds, sunshine and also fog. For climate, it refers to the weather of a specific region averaged over a long period of time and usually measured over a 30-year period. It does not change from time to time or hour to hour and usually it affected by the climate system such as atmosphere as well as altitude and latitude. For example, rainy season and monsoon season.
And so I will continue for explain what is climate change. Climate change is a change in the usual weather found in place. It could be a change in how much rain a place usually get in a year or a change in place usual temperature for a month or season. For example, rainfall in Malaysia increase from year to year and become the occurrence of flood and landslide due to excessive rainfall and strong wind happen due to climate change. In Malaysia, people who live on the east coast are usually affected by the flood while excessive rainfall will make landslide occur at the hilly place like Cameron Highland. So, in a simple word, climate change is the increase in temperature and change in other characteristics. It is a phenomenon that occurs from the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Example of greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide, nitrogen and methane. Next, climate change affect our daily life if we don't take any action to reduce it. The answer is yes, climate change will affect us. So I will explain three effects of climate change. The first one is home damage. Climate change can indirectly damage our house. Flood are the most common natural disaster in Malaysia. Flood is likely happen due to a rising sea level and extreme weather changes. If the water level rise every year, it will lead to the more dangerous disaster because it will not only damage the house, but it will also lead to the death due to the people drowning in the flood. Secondly, storm storm and heavy rain from the climate change can result in water pollution. In the city, water can overflow the sewage system, allowing untreated sewage to enter the drinking water supply. Meanwhile, in a rural area, water will transport to the animal waste and chemical fertilizer and it can enter the drinking water. Contaminated drinking water can cause diarrhea and cholera. It can also cause eyes, ear and skin infection. Lastly, flight can be disrupted by natural disaster. For example, in late October 2012, when Hurricane Sandy hit the New York City, seawater overflowed the edge of LaGuardia Airport, which in turn damaged the navigation and lighting system. Therefore, this accident will affect those working in the tourism industry, such as travel agency and airline industry. Hence, it is very important for us to take care of our environment to avoid increase in the climate change.
So I will continue the presentation with the benefit of environmental management accounting. So with EMA, organizations are able to track accurately and manage the use and flows of energy and materials including the pollution or waste volumes, types and fate. The usage of these resources, including water, electricity and fuel, should be used efficiently and effectively to avoid any wasteful consumption. Next, EMA helps organizations to identify, estimate, allocate, manage, and reduce costs. Environmental costs can be categorized to 4 types, which are prevention costs, appraisal costs, internal and external failure costs. Prevention costs is the cost associated to prevent adverse environmental policies. Appraisal costs are the costs of assessing compliance with environmental policies. Internal failure costs are the costs of eliminating environmental impacts that have been created by the organization. Lastly, external failure costs are the costs incurred after the environmental damage has been caused outside the organization. Besides, with EMA, organizations also able to get an accurate and comprehensive information for the measurement and reporting of environmental performance. Managers will use the information in decision-making matters for their corporate activities. If companies use the information wisely, this directly will improve their corporate reputation from launching environmentally friendly products into the market and performing corporate activities with less harmful effects on surrounding environment. Lastly, EMA helps organizations to improve sales or reduce the sales erosion. People nowadays are more aware on how the product and services can impact the environment. This will influence the consumers' preferences and buying behaviors. For instance, some customers prefer to buy an eco-friendly product to help them live more sustainably and reduce waste. I will continue on the relationship between the management accounting and climate change. So basically, EMA and climate change is directly proportional to each other. As increase in climate change, it will increase the concern of EMA to overcome this issue. So how EMA is practiced related to climate change? Okay, based on the factory industry, especially manufacturing company, they tend to release waste such as greenhouse gases and waste pollution. This practice concern risk in environmental crisis and contribute to the climate change. So EMA plays an important role either in internal or external aspects of business management. EMAs will provide research and practice to provide specific accounting guidance on risk management, which include carbon emission management and disclosure. For example, EMAs can advise by using advanced technology. It helps the company to monitor and reduce the emission of greenhouse gases from the industrial operation. While for the management of waste pollution, EMAs can suggest proper practice which material flow stages and waste management to reduce the waste. Thus, EMA will disclose to the sustainability of the company which provide the management and the mitigation of climate change in the decision making of the organization.
Next, I will continue with the example of climate change. First, rising temperature. Scientists have noticed the average temperature across the country has been rising quickly in recent years. Most experts on climate change agree that the temperature rise is mostly caused by greenhouse gases. These gases trap heat and keep it from leaving the Earth's atmosphere. The most common causes of death related to rising temperature include heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and cardiovascular disease. For example, based on all 16 weather stations in Malaysia, the average temperature from July to September 2019 was 27.9 degrees Celsius. The highest temperature was recorded in October 2019 was 39 degrees Celsius. Next, second example is sea level rise. Change in the sea level has been measured for the long time. There are two factors that cause the sea level rise. First, sea level rise is linked to climate change, and second, sea level rise has socio-economic consequences for population. Possible sea level rise might cause beach erosion, flooding, salinization of coastal aquifer, and coastal ecosystems loss. Although the global rise in sea level is expected to be between 1.7 to 3.1 milliliter per year, the sea level rise in Malaysia is expected to higher because of its climate and geography. As example is heavy rainfall. Flood and landslide are common natural disasters caused by heavy rain. Malaysia has already been hit by major flood caused by rapidly changing weather pattern and climate variability in the region. On 16 December 2021, a tropical depression hit the eastern coast of Peninsular Malaysia. It's raining very hard for 3 days, and because of this, 8 states in the peninsula were affected by flood.
I will continue the presentation with the Act and Regulation of EMA. The first act which is relevant to EMA is Environmental Quality Act 1974. It is an act relating to the prevention, abatement, control of pollution, enhancement of the environment, and for purposes connected therewith. There are 4 sections which is related to EMA under this act, as in Part 4, Prohibition and Controls of Pollution, which includes Section 22, 23, 24, and 25. As per Section 22, restrictions on pollution of the atmosphere, subsection 3 states that any person who contravenes subsection 1 shall be guilty of an offence and shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 10,000 ringgit, or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years, or to both, and to a further fine not exceeding 1,000 a day for every day that the offence is continued after a notice by the Director General. As for Section 23, restriction on noise pollution, subsection 2 states that any person who contravenes subsection 1 shall be guilty of an offence and shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 100,000, or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years, or to both, and to a further fine not exceeding 500 a day for every day that the offence is continued after a notice by the Director General requiring him to cease the act specified therein has been served upon him. Next, Section 24, restriction on pollution of the soil, and Section 25, restriction on pollution of inland waters. Both Section 24 and 25 under subsection 3 states that any person who contravenes subsection 1 shall be guilty of an offence and shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 100,000, or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years, or to both, and to a further fine not exceeding 1,000 a day for every day that the offence is continued after a notice by the Director General requiring him to cease the act specified therein has been served upon him. Second Act, which is Land Conservation Act 1960. This act aims at the conservation of hilllands, the prevention of soil erosion, and the control of siltation. Under Part 2, Control of Hillland, the section which is related to this matter is Section 6, Restriction on Clearing and Cultivation of Hillland. As per subsection 1, no person shall clear any hillland or interfere with, destroy, or remove any trees, plants, animal, weeds, grass, or vegetation on or from any hillland. Next is the Fisheries Act 1985. It is generally an act relating to fisheries, including the conservation, management, and development of maritime and estuary fishing and fisheries in Malaysian fisheries water, to turtles and rivering fishing in Malaysia, and to matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. This act is relevant as per Part 6, which is offences under Section 26, fishing with explosive, poisons, etc. As stated in the Section 26, subsection 2, any explosive, poison, pollutant, apparatus, or gear referred to in subsection 1 found in the possession or under the control of any person shall presume to be intended to be used for any purposes referred in the paragraph 1 subsection A unless the contrary is proved. The National Forestry Act 1984. It is basically an act to provide for the administration, management, and conservation of forest and forestry development within the state of Malaysia and for connected purposes. You can see it's relevantly in Part 7 of the Act, miscellaneous offences and penalties. As stated in the Section 81, subsection 3, any person convicted of an offence under this section may, in addition to any penalties imposed on the conviction, be ordered to pay to the state authority with the value of any tree or timber and the cost of repairing any damage in respect whereof the offence was committed, and any sum ordered to be paid shall be recoverable as if it were a fine so imposed.
Now we move to the effectiveness of environmental accounting and climate change in the current business operations. Firstly, EMA as a link between environmental performance and the shareholder value. Insurers and bankers are naturally concerned about the financial risk posed by the specific environmental issues such as climate change, but some are also recognizing that good environment performance can translate into the shareholder value. To increase the environment performance, the organizations adopt the environmental accounting practice to improve the sustainable outcomes. For example, eco-balance or materials flow accounting provide information regarding the usage of the materials, energy, water, and the amounts of emissions, which assist the management in managing resources more efficiently and reducing the potential environmental impacts of waste and emissions. The physical information collected under EMA is also crucial to the development and accurate assessments of environment-related costs, reporting that the use of an eco-balance was positively correlated with a better environmental performance. Thus, better environmental performance of a company give impacts its stock value. Second is EMA give effectiveness to current business as it can be as modernization strategy in the organization by yielding the better costs. EMA provides a superior set of cost and benefit figures about the business performance. Understanding the material purchase value of waste and emissions and related processing costs can help the companies create new visions about what can be achieved in terms of process, products, and services. EMA thus promotes positive change within the cleaning production initiative. Apart from that, the efficiency of EMA for firms helps the firms to identify the value of emissions or waste that allow into the environment, and it helps the firms to identify the cost incurred to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions, such as buying the air filter to avoid the high environmental costs. EMA also supports the simultaneous reduction of costs and environmental impacts to achieve eco-efficiency. For example, when the firm applying the ABC costing as EMA tools in the operations, it enables to improve the internal cost calculations by allocating costs typically found in the overheads accounts to the quality activities and products that are determined by the quantitative life cycles assessment procedures. Finally, EMA gives a tendency to handle more relevant information to address uncertainty issue in the business. If the environment becomes an uncertain resource, EMA plays a very important role in providing environmental information. When an organization is greatly influenced by the environmental uncertainty, it can innovate its accounting system aimed to minimize environmental impacts and better manage its operations. These organizations can better determine what type of accounting innovation is required or what environmental information should be provided. The high degree of uncertainty in the environments will require organizations to respond quickly to predictable changes. For example, changes in environmental resources used by the organizations or changes in cleaner production technologies. Therefore, it gives effectiveness to the organizations as it provided additional information by EMA practice to reduce their uncertainty and make decisions.
Next, I'm going to present on the effectiveness of environmental management accounting and climate change in future business operation. So first is it improves decision making. Environmental management accounting assists managers in making better decisions by informing them about an organization's environmental impacts beyond its boundaries, as well as about environmental issues such as climate change that are affecting the organization. This includes both the economic drivers and the outcomes of environmental issues. Environmental management accounting helps business in analyzing what are causes of environmental issues, improvement in environmental that has been made, and how they reflect the economic performance of the organization. Second point is prevent climate crisis. Environmental issue can be effectively managed using environmental management accounting tools. For instance, issues such as carbon emission. Environmental management accounting can help managers address the threat of climate change and become more aware of this issue. One of environmental management accounting tools that can be used, such as control tool, where the use of financial as well as strategic control methods to enable and facilitate the implementation of environmental strategy and achieving environmental performance objectives. A few accounting studies also have highlighted the effectiveness of environmental management accounting implementation on carbon emission reduction. For example, a case study in Germany indicates that environmental management accounting is beneficial to support carbon management decisions, which may eventually improve carbon management quality. There is also an investigation indicates that better tracking and analyzing of carbon information can facilitate in improving carbon management quality and thus achieving better carbon mitigation.
Next, I will explain about the risk businesses need to face, identify or consider in relation to the environmental management accounting and climate change. There are two types of risk, which first are the physical risk. Physical risk refer to the manifestation of a changing climate and the associated costs. Simply said, these risks have direct damage to the asset and indirect impact from supply chain disruption. For example, we can say that the extreme heat that happened in agricultural industry. So this will lead to the crop failures and decreased crop yields. The company also need to spend more to cover up their losses. So another risk is transition risk. Transition risk refer to effects on companies as economies decarbonize. It may include policy and regulation, litigation, adoption of alternative energy sources, and shifting consumer preference or behavior. For example, technological improvement that support the transition to a lower carbon, energy efficient economic system can have significant impact on organization, like the development and use of emerging technologies such as renewable energy will affect the competitiveness of certain organizations and ultimately their demand for the product and services from end user. To the extent that the new technology displaces old systems and disrupts some parts of the existing economic system, winners and losers will emerge from this creative disruption process. The timing of technology development and deployment, however, is a key uncertainty in assessing technology risk.
Now I'm going to explain initiative taken by AirAsia to prevent climate change. Firstly, AirAsia implements new digital solution to improve efficiency and reduce carbon footprints. AirAsia has implemented OptiClimb, which will save up to 3% of its climb fuel, potentially representing a fleet-wide carbon footprint reduction of at least 70,000 tons of CO2 per year. By introducing a number of new digital initiatives to its flight operation, AirAsia is not only offsetting its carbon emission but also proactively reducing them at the source while also further reducing costs for the benefit of its customer. Second initiative is to celebrate World Environment Day. AirAsia shared that as part of the company's ongoing sustainability effort, a total of 112 tons of cabin waste equivalent to a whopping 2 Airbus A320 aircraft were collected and recycled in 2019. AirAsia cabin crew will collect onboard waste and recyclable material 30 minutes before landing. To ensure effective recycling process, recyclable and non-recyclable waste are segregated. Next, AirAsia is continuing its climate change awareness initiative with its #Green24 challenge to promote sustainability action that make a tangible difference to the environment. Throughout the 24-hour period, offices across the AirAsia Group will be organizing various activities with their respective communities. And lastly, AirAsia adopted a global market-based initiative, COSHA, that aims to achieve carbon neutral growth. To meet COSHA requirement, AirAsia submitted the Emission Monitoring Plans (EMP) and first verified carbon emission report for 2019 to the respective civil aviation regulator in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Manuals were also developed for each of the countries to identify accountable personnel, establish processes, and procedure for data collection. Initiative taken by the government to prevent climate change. As we all know, Malaysia has suffered continuously due to climate change, such as an increase in annual surface temperature and also an increase in annual rainfall. So, Malaysian government had taken various strategies to address this climate change issue. First, we can see that Malaysia had actively involved in international conventions regarding the climate change. For example, in the year 2012, Malaysia had participated in the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development. Meanwhile, in the year 2016, Malaysia government had participated in the ratification of Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement is actually an international treaty that was signed by several countries in Paris in the year 2015. It addressed the issue of keeping the rise in the global average temperature to below 2 degrees. Besides that, Malaysian government also had developed several policies that address the issue related to climate change that serve as a guideline of how every party should react in response to the issue and challenges of climate change. For instance, we had the Renewable Energy Act 2011 that encouraged the usage of the renewable energy industry by providing economic incentive. The system is expected to reduce carbon emission and pollution. It helped encourage the energy efficient manager and reduce dependency on fossil fuel. Next, we have the National Green Technology. It is a policy that is made based on 4 pillars which be involved in service sector that will have a direct impact on the environment, energy, building, transport, water and waste management.
Conclusion, government should offer more incentive and initiative to encourage people to take care of the environment. It could also come up with new ways to make sure businesses do not even damage the environment. Government should aggressively promote the environmental management accounting. The management accountant must have a deeper comprehension of the opportunity as well as the threat that are offered by climate change. That's all from us. Thank you.